Data collection can sometimes be very challenging with ESE preschool students, as some of them often do not speak, write, or have a cognitive ability to point/use picture cards to let you know what they've learned. I do try my hardest to assess my children often to check for their understanding of different things we are learning. A way that I collect data on my children is with a rubric that I make for writing. In this rubric, there are 5 different writing markings for the children to try and make. I use a 10-point system to assess them with. The point of this rubric is to help them improve on their markings in writing. I include in the rubric horizontal lines, vertical lines, a circle, a cross, and a letter A. I put the data from these rubrics into a spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, I can see weekly if my students are making gains or not, or I can also tell which marking they need to improve in. According to our textbook, rubrics should also be shared with learners because they help guide the students' efforts to meet the assessed criteria. To the children that I teach, they don't often understand what I'm trying to show them, but I can share this information with their parents so that they can understand the progress that they are making. Another form of data collection is a portfolio that I keep for my kids. I do not keep a digital portfolio, but in their portfolio I have samples of their work, but I also have an assessment that I give them 3 to 4 times a year. In this assessment, I identify colors, shapes, numbers, counting, and letters. I can track how well they do on their assessment by graphing it into a spreadsheet. Our textbook also tells us that a spreadsheet helps us to manage and analyze information, which can be numerical, text, and graphic form. I like the fact that I can see the numerical forms of information and a graph. When we went out of school for COVID-19 in 2020, I used 2 sources to assess my students. I used Epic Books and Happy Numbers. In Epic Books, I could assess what books my students were reading, and they took a 4 to 5 question quiz on that book that I created in the program. In Happy Numbers, I was able to track my students and what math they were doing. I could also have them not move on to the next area until they mastered the first one. This was a great way for me to track all their math skills. Like I said previously, it is extremely hard for me to be able to collect the data sometimes for my students. With that being said, I have taught them a little bit about collecting and analyzing data. I do it mainly when we do science experiments or when we do a letter or color focus. I will ask them to find things around the room. We collect that data and analyze what we have found. I will then make a graph to show the data. I also touch on it when we compare things. For example, in the beginning of the school year, we discuss how students go home. We take a poll and then we chart, for example, if they go by car, bus, or daycare.